I'm Debbie Godfrey. Welcome to the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast.
Today's pep talk, I'm going to talk about doing the obvious. Sometimes we make parenting a little more complicated than it needs to be. And how I usually demonstrate this to parents is I partner everybody up and I have one of the people make a fist and hold it really tightly and hold it out to the other person. And then I ask the other person, without drawing blood, try to open the other person's fist. And the whole room goes and everybody starts laughing and screaming and hollering and trying to get that fist open. And my next question is, how many of you asked the other person to open the fist? And it usually gets some chuckles because there might be a few people in there that thought to ask, but most people jump immediately to force. And this is a really interesting metaphor with our kids because sometimes the most simple thing is to just ask them to do something. Ask them to what their opinion is. Ask them anything. And we forget because we're so anticipating needing to use force somehow. We're so anticipating that they're not going to listen to us. And how are we going to make sure that they hear us this time? What are we going to do? How are we going to manipulate the situation? How are we going to control the situation? And it often causes a lot of frustration, whereas sometimes the simplest answer is the best. So for today, I want you to think about what's the most obvious response in this situation. So if your child, if you want to ask your child to do something, just ask them. If you are trying to figure out what your child wants to eat or drink or where they want to go play, instead of worrying about it, just ask them, what do you want to do today? What do you feel like eating? And it's the most obvious thing. If you have two kids that are fighting, sometimes we feel like we have to get in there and fix it and solve it and figure out who did what. Well, what's the most obvious thing? Just make comments on what you see. What are you seeing here? Wow, two kids are fighting. How interesting. You guys need any help here? Can I help you work this out? Do you need any suggestions for me? Make observations. What do you see them doing? Wow, I see two kids and one toy, and looks like you guys are having a hard time working this out. So think about what is the most obvious response here? If a child says or does something hurtful, say, ow. If a child does something mean, say, wow, that's mean. Just the simplest answer sometimes is the best answer. So again, just trying to make life more easy, more streamlined, to understand that kids are very simple, and just look at them with a more detached attitude so that you can figure out ways to work with the situation that you've got in front of you instead of making it worse, to make it easier on yourself, to make it so that it's more functional, make it so that you have more fun in the situation. So think about different ways that you can make it obvious. State the obvious, request the obvious, make commentary on the obvious, and have a great time doing it. Remember, it's summer. We want to keep it fun. We want to keep it light. We want to keep the kids happy, and especially we want to keep us happy. So have a great day. Happy parenting.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Debbie Godfrey, owner and founder of positiveparenting.com. I hope you'll go and check out my website and follow me on Instagram and let me know about what you thought about today's episode. Did you learn something new? Were you able to do something different with your children? Did you have a success story? Those are my favorite to share. Let me know. Contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And also, what future topics would you be interested in hearing about on the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast? Thank you so much for being here and for all of your support. Take care and happy parenting.